Hello, I'm Sumukh Torgalkar. This is the second episode of 10 Years No Booze about, hey, I haven't drank alcohol in 10 years, and maybe you find yourself in a position considering that or anything related to addiction and just trying to share my story, bring about a calm approach to however you want to approach such a situation for yourself. So, in the first episode, I talked about making the decision to stop drinking, but then one of the big questions people will ask me is about Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, and if I did that or what my feelings are on it. So, that's what I want to talk about in this second episode. And what I will say, you can look out there yourself. There's plenty of feelings of the efficacy of AA, as well as the criticisms of AA. And this will happen with an organization that's been around for 90 years, now global, and the 12-step program, and however anybody wishes to approach it. And that's what I'll say. And I'll talk really just about my own personal experience and take with that what you want. But from my perception, I think you have to approach addiction, alcoholism, anything that is unhealthy, whatever you should do that is healthy to prevent you from further doing that behavior is a positive. And that's where I see that AA is a positive. It's there for many people. It also is not necessarily the only route that can be taken, which is, again, why I'll talk about my own route and then how AA played a role in that for me. But that's different for other people. And of course, the path to stopping drinking is different to begin with for a lot of people. An intervention was involved. It could be court ordered, sending them to rehab or to AA. In other cases, people have the wherewithal to make that decision on their own for themselves, which is the position I was in. And so that's the decision that I made, and I chose to make the decision to just try to do this on my own cold turkey with a support system that I was lucky to have and I could turn to in close friendship. Many people don't necessarily have that. They also don't have that wherewithal on their own, and that's where AA serves that great purpose, that you can go immediately and have structure, have meetings, camaraderie, a sponsor, things of that nature that keep you connected to something where your entire devotion is ensuring you do not return to the behavior that is unhealthy that you no longer want to be doing. Truly, in your heart. Of course, the addiction is difficult, and there's other parts of you that obviously want to continue to be doing that, even though it is destructive. So, that's the first step. And I think I want to also address that there's just a feeling to even calling yourself an alcoholic or to entering Alcoholics Anonymous that brings about a stigma, brings about one's own personal criticism or a lot onto someone. And I know I can say I felt that as well too, which probably drove my desire to kind of do it on my own. And I've had friends who have stopped drinking who also do not wish to label themselves as alcoholic because of how much of a stigma that is. And in Alcoholics Anonymous, that is not, you are saying you are an alcoholic for the rest of your life. That's part of the program, is identifying yourself as an alcoholic. Even now, 10 years later, if I would go to a meeting, I would be saying, I am an alcoholic. And that's a difficult thing for people sometimes to deal with who do stop drinking, and like myself, have stopped drinking for 10 years now. Still identifying myself as an alcoholic. So again, that is something, I don't know. I don't necessarily look at it in the present tense for myself, but what does it matter either way? It is just about being able to have your own self-control and stop drinking and whatever you need to do to go about that. If that means being in AA, if it means going through the program, continuing to go to meetings, whatever you need, that's what's best. But it doesn't mean yes, it just depends upon the wherewithal that you have to be able to stop without it. Now, what I'll say is, yes, I stopped. I did not go to AA. My intake by the point I stopped drinking was 30 beers per week, being very honest with all of you. And it's still to this day kind of embarrassing to admit that, but I've been 0 beers a week for 10 years plus. So what 30 beers a week is 2 times what they say is alcoholic behavior. They say 14 drinks per week, 14 beers per week is when it gets into alcoholic behavior or a problem. So that's where I was at. My ability to just stop and go from 30 to 0, I can't explain it to you other than I had that self-control within me, and it didn't mean that first year wasn't really difficult. And so I will say there are people that maybe can be able to do that, or certainly are able to do that. There are others that are not able to do that at all. And so that is where there is a huge value to Alcoholics Anonymous for what I just said. It brings structure, it brings camaraderie, it brings accountability that are extremely important to stopping addiction and behavior that you have. And going through that 12-step process to be able to do that, that's where the efficacy is great. Now, how have I interacted with AA? Well, I have gone to AA meetings, though I did not go through the 12-step program. When I lived in LA, there were some pretty dark moments there. And it didn't necessarily mean that I was going to slip back into drinking alcohol, but it did mean like, hey, my depression is really bad right now, and the fact that there are AA meetings in the city just about any time of day in every neighborhood in LA is really helpful. And so I would go to meetings on occasion in my darkest moments. I didn't share, but listening to others really helped me, and knowing that, hey, addiction, it does not matter. It does not matter what income you are, what race you are, whatever. We're all humans with minds and emotions that are susceptible to this. And so I always looked at AA as, and still do, as a positive for that for me. There is a therapeutic element to going to a meeting when I would like to go to a meeting and if I need to go to a meeting, and it gives me perspective. So to me, AA is beneficial. It does not mean I went through the program. It does not mean you have to. But I do think that you have to have a lot already there when it comes to your addiction and looking at your addiction. If you're in deep, then AA is there for you. In my case, I wasn't as deep in as I could have been with drinking, that I had the ability to stop and do it on my own in a sense, but also have support. And a lot of people do not necessarily have that when they do make the decision for whatever reason to stop drinking. And that's where there is the benefit to Alcoholics Anonymous. So it's for me on my perspective when it comes to AA, how you feel about it. And if you watch this, feel free to leave it below in the comments. Have any questions, leave them below. And again, we'll continue with this for as long. To me, it's just, if the views are low, if the views are high, I don't even care. I make money from the YouTube channel from other things, how-to videos and all that. But this is just a part of who I am, and happy to share it and hopefully bring about a community with this one way or the other. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back for episode 3. Still figuring out what is the next transition to talk to after this. Yeah, be back for episode 3 soon as we continue this path and me discussing giving up alcohol and now being 10 years without it.